All right, and then don't forget to title your notes if you want to. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the full equation for a trig function with all the transformations on it. And we're finally going to talk about each piece. They're pretty much the same as they've always been. They just have different names because they belong to sine waves now and cosine waves. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the A. You know that's the amplitude. And that is how high and how low the waves are for sure from the middle. Yesterday, it was always from the x-axis. It was kind of easy yesterday. But remember, this is always highs and lows, and I'm going to abbreviate, from the middle. And the middle is not necessarily on the x-axis anymore. The middle is this guy right here. So K is a vertical translation. It is. But it's also the midline. So my waves are going to be higher and lower from this. All right, the B value is the same. You're just going to take 2 pi, multiply it by the reciprocal, get your period. That's really the only purpose that it serves for us. And then there's H. H is still opposite. If it's negative in the parentheses, then it's positive on the graph. If it's positive in the parentheses, it's negative on the graph. But it has a new name. Write this down because I'm pretty sure you've never seen this before. It's called a phase shift. And if you have seen that before, I'm very impressed. Phase shift. So remember, high and low is from the middle. That K value is going to tell you where the middle is. And then, of course, guys, new words. Maybe I'm proud of you if you already knew this. Remember, that's called a phase shift. And you're going to see that tests and quizzes in OneNote. All right, let's go ahead and graph some stuff now. So if you could please write example 1. It is going to be f of x equals, we're going to do a cosine one first. 2 cosine, and then in parentheses is going to be 2x plus pi over 4. Outside of the parentheses is plus 3. All right, let's talk about your steps. You actually have a step 0. Look, you have a plus, you got to take that b out. You have to factor out that b. So let's talk about steps for a moment. I'll write them right here. 0. Factor out b. Number 1. Find a and k. Step 2. Find your period just like yesterday. Find your tick marks, multiply it by 1/4 just like yesterday. And then draw the shape and where it starts. Now listen, I'm going to give you a little formula for where it starts, but if you draw the shape, you're going to know where it starts anyway. So here's your little formula for cosine. Cosine always starts at the phase shift. Whoops, that's supposed to be an S. And then it's going to be A plus K. Y'all, that's a S. That stands for phase shift. Sine is just phase shift K. And it's nice to write that down, but if you draw the shape, you're going to know it. All right, step 0. We cannot do anything until we get that 2 out of there, because that's not the phase shift. The phase shift is hiding. It is not pi over 4. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and factor that b. So I'm going to recopy the first half of this equation. I'm going to take that 2 out. Right, here we go. 2 divided by 2, or I can multiply by the reciprocal. 2 times 1/2 is 1. Now remember, this is divided by 2, or you can multiply by the reciprocal. So this is going to turn into, goodness, all this stuff. What does that turn into? Pi over 8. Pi over 8. Cool. All right. Let me move this up, and let's get ready to get this going. All right, so step 0, check. Step 1, find A and K. A is 2. K was K. 3. And remember, K is the middle. And remember, amplitude is how tall the waves get from the middle and how low the waves get from the middle. All right, step 2, find the period. Oh, so easy. 2 pi times the reciprocal of b. This is just plain pi. Okay. Then remember, just like yesterday, you're going to take your pi and cut it into fourths. So each tick mark is pi over 4 places away. All right, step 4, draw the shape right where it starts. All right, guys, what kind of shape is cosine? A horseshoe or a sideways S? So it's going to start at the top and end at the top. It starts at the what? What did I just say? The top. And if the middle is 3 and the amplitude is 2, then the top is 5. So let's write the phase shift. It always starts with the phase shift. Remember, it's going to be opposite signs, so let's write negative pi over 8. And then it starts at the top. The top is 5. Any questions on that? Okay, yes, ma'am. The period's pi. The increments are pi over 4. This is the period. Good question. All right, so look, guys, we're going to graph this a little bit differently. What do we know? We know how tall the waves are. The waves are 5 places above the origin. So if I put my origin right here, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the tallest these cosine waves are ever going to get. Now I'm going to go 2 places down and plot the middle. So remember, this is 5. 2 places down is the K value, the middle. Two places down from that is the lowest the waves are ever going to get. What's the lowest the waves are ever going to get? Yep, that's right, it's 1. Now again, guys, I said this was my origin. Let me go ahead and extend out this x-axis. Let me go ahead and extend out this y-axis. Okay, there's one more thing I know. I know where it starts. We wrote it. It starts at negative pi over 8. Negative pi over 8 is to the left of the origin. So let's say, let me draw this first and then you'll draw it. I'm going to say pi over 8, negative pi over 8, I'm sorry, it's right here. Cool. There's where that sine wave starts, right there, not a big deal. And then we're going to have another tick mark. I know the tick mark is pi over 4 places away. So look, let me draw this up here. Here's negative pi over 8. Here's pi over 4 places away. I can't make an 8 into a 4, but I can make a 4 into an 8. So remember, this is 2 pi over 8. So if this is negative 1, what's negative 1 plus 2? What's negative pi over 8 plus 2 pi over 8? That's your next tick mark. Ooh, this is going to be giant. Okay. The next space, guys, is pi over 4 or 2 pi over 8. So 1 over 8 plus 2 pi over 8 is 3 pi over 8. Kind of like what I went over at the beginning of class. Then we're going to have 5 pi over 8. And then we're going to have 7 pi over 8. And I got to make sure I have 4 tick marks after the starting point. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do. I just got to extend out these little dashed lines and then I'm ready to graph. All right. So I remember I said it started, and I'm keeping my word, it started right here. Then it hits the middle. The middle is at positive pi over 8. It bottoms out at 3 pi over 8. Then it climbs back up. So there's your cosine curve. Let's look at another one. We're going to go a little bit faster this time. So for example 2. Let's do a sine. So f of x is going to equal 3 sine, and in parentheses write 2x minus pi minus 2. Thank you. Sorry, guys. I'm going to pause my screen. I got to get this cleaned up. Y'all, factor out the 2. Please factor out the 2. All right. Step 0, factor out the 2. Let's go ahead and knock that out. So f of x is going to equal 3 sine 2 on the outside, and then x minus what goes on the inside? Yes, negative pi over 2. Good job. All right, cool. Amplitude, so easy. The amplitude is 3. Middle, so easy. It's the k value, negative 2. Let's find the period. To find the period, you take 2 pi, multiply it by the reciprocal of b. So again, this example has the same period. The same period as pi. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. I'm going to put an asterisk right there on purpose. All right. So now that we have found the pi, we're going to find the spacing. So we take our cycle, which is pi, cut it into fourths, and that is how far apart all of our tick marks are on the x-axis. Let's draw the shape. It is a sine curve. Starts in the middle, goes up, goes down, ends in the middle. Remember, it always starts with a phase shift. So we're going to write positive pi over 2. And guys, if it starts in the middle, then it starts on the midline. And the midline is negative 2. All right. Let's start knocking out this graph. So I am going to draw an x and y axis right here. I noticed that this started out in quadrant 4 and it's moving to the right, so I saved some room for quadrant 4 right here. Again, we know that the midline is going to be negative 2. I'm going to draw this down a little farther because the midline is negative. All right, if the midline's negative 2 right here, then my amplitude, the highest it's going to be is 3 places above it. So negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. 3 places below negative 2 is negative 5. Right. I'm ready to start graphing. I also know where it starts. It starts at pi over 2. So I'm going to say right here is pi over 2. And it's a sine graph. It starts in the middle. Boom. There it is. I know the next tick mark is pi over 4 places away. I just don't know how much that is. But what I can do is I can make pi over 2 into 2 pi over 4. So that's 2 pi over 4. So 2 pi over 4 plus 1/4 is 3 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4 plus 1/4 is 4 pi over 4, but we can't write that in pre-cal. You have to just write pi. Remember, that's 4 over 4. So this must be 5 pi over 4. I got 3 tick marks from the start. I need 1 more tick mark. And that last tick mark is going to be 6 pi over 4, but you can't write that. What is 6 pi over 4 simplified to? 3 pi over 2. There you go. Now you can draw the rest of that shape, connect those dots. And that's how you do it when it's translated vertically and horizontally.